You live? We're live. Hi. Okay, hello, yes, hi. So today we're going to continue building a Dyson Sphere. It's been a bit of a low-key obsession for me recently, and yeah, I'm really enjoying it. So before we get started, I actually wrote up a thing this time rather than just sort of winging it. Okay, so this stream is made possible by viewers just like you. I'm not a fan of ads, and you probably aren't either, so I'll get right to it. Later this year I'm having surgery and would like to remain living in the manner that I have become accustomed, indoors and eating regularly. If you're enjoying what you're watching and want to help support that, the link to donate is in the description of the video. In the future I'll be setting up a Patreon or something with bonus content, and anything you contribute will go towards making sure that the only ad you hear on the stream is this one. So, with that said, let's get into it. So, just a quick note on the link in the description. YouTube is currently being a little bit funny about in-text link. So I've done the little verification sort of scenario, and hopefully they'll get done with whatever they're doing with that. But yeah, so it might look a little bit broken for now, but it will probably work properly in the future. Probably. Just a little trick. Okay, so where were we? Okay, so let's see. We were moving towards planetary logistics, which will give us faster belts and an ability to scale up a little bit more. So yeah, to do that, so we're currently working on thruster. Wonder what's slowing that down. I bet you it's the power supply. Yep, there we go. So part of the problem with scaling up is that you have to keep your power generation up to date as well. So I think probably the bottleneck here is either belt speed or inserter speed. And yeah, if I don't get on top of that pretty quick, then it'll start bogging down the entire factory. So, okay, yeah. So, so part of the issue is that this entire thing only works as fast as the rest of it does. Like you get, again, word of the week, bottlenecks. So to make this sort of happen a little bit quicker, is as the power drops, the output of this will also start dropping, which will make the power output drop as well. We're going to need to speed up the belts a bit. So I've got level 2 belts, but I usually wait until I've started unlocking the sort of silicon supply line before I start really heavily investing in that. Because like overall, I don't feel like you really need it. It's after you start scaling up with these like big arrays that suddenly you have to be a little bit worried about how fast the combustible fuel's entering your generators. So okay, so to make that happen, we need level 2 belts. So that requires electromagnetic turbines, or green motors. So that requires engines and mag rings. I've got my mag rings happening over here. There's a nice bus that goes straight past here. So got a nice little supply of it that's kicking off there. So I can probably just push over the short term anyway. Assembler here that leads into a depot here, and that'll accomplish broadly what I want it to. But after that we'll start getting gated by the speed of the inserters, and I can make faster inserters now, but we'll be moving towards something called a pile sorter pretty soon, I think. So so yeah, for the time being, let's see. Okay, so I only got one little engine assembly or motor assembly happening here. So yeah, due to the kind of janky way that this bus is set up, I probably have to locate this somewhere else, but that's very much a problem for future me to deal with. Probably me in about 45 minutes. So Yeah, so over the short term, just chuck one of these bad boys here. Yeah, remembering this time to leave enough room. So yeah, it's weird. You only need one tile of space to move it into a depot here, but to move it between like depot and inserter, you need an extra square of space. So let's start with that. And we're making belts. Wearing lots of belts. And yeah, here's part of the rub, right? I might locate it over there. Actually, it'll even though I don't need like its own belt network, like a belt for belts. I would much rather. Thank you so much. So yeah, I would rather have sort of belt running past here, and then have it sort of you can't see where I'm gesturing on the screen, but sort of like locate it over here, just because it's probably a bit more efficient that way. And yeah, it's after you start like scaling up, you need huge numbers of these. So yeah, longer term I will need to scale that, partially because I think there's a bit of a ratio involved here. Yeah, so there's it's three belts and a turbine for every 3 belts of the higher level. And fortunately, these do come in 3s. Yeah. So that'll give me plenty of room to put a depot over here as well for the output. It's hideously inefficient, but the overall volume here isn't going to be high enough that I have to worry a lot about efficiency, at least not yet. So yeah, cool, and it'll save me a power pole as well. Okay, had it right the first time, classic. Yeah, there's other machinery that uses these little turbine sort of scenarios as well. But yeah. Okay, yeah, and again, make sure to put your depot caps in, folks. It's or you'll just get things just sucking everything out of your production line. Go, wonder where that is. Speaking of, okay, so that's prisms. Yeah, it's already probably too many plasma exciters for now, at least. So now that's on the way, let's take a look at what we need for planetaries. So yeah, as predicted, it needs titanium and also magnetic particle traps, which is not a thing that I have the capacity to make right now. So yeah, it requires this just incredible amount of blue and red science just to get the underlying technology. These require graphite, which requires its own production line for, because graphite requires carbon and sulfuric acid. Sulfuric acid requires stone, water, and refined oil. So on the plus side, I'll have something to do with the huge amount of refined oil that I'm currently building up. So if we jump over to the production tab here, look at refined oil. Yeah, I've already got about 20,000 banked up, which is, yeah, it's well surplus to requirements. At the moment, I'm just sort of hanging around here to like upgrade the belts over at the power plant, because that'll, I think, solve a number of problems simultaneously. And I think I'm probably going to need about 150 or so. let's see where this gets us. So this is the one that's starting to have fairly serious problems. So let's see whether that's tipped the scales. Yeah. Yeah, you can already see that that's kind of shoved the consistent generation through the roof, and yeah, this was sort of sitting at about 75% sufficiency prior. Yeah, longer term, I'm probably going to want to put a pile sorter over here, but yeah. So yeah, did that end up being enough? Yeah, it is. Cool. So yeah, problem broadly sorted. You love to see it. Wonder if I want to add a splitter here to shore this up, because yeah, by the time it's sort of getting to the back of the belt here, it's sort of running out of steam, if you will. So I think that's probably going to be the play. Just reconnecting that really quickly, because otherwise it'll start stalling out the factory. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to see that power drop pretty quick. Oh, is that? Yeah, that's done. Yeah. It's one of the disadvantages of having like the drone construction bases all over the place, is that sometimes it won't use the onboard construction mechs to good effect, and it will elect to use the ones from the base instead, which actually ends up being slower.
Insufficient materials.
Cool. Let's make another one of these. Okay, just not enough, fortunately. Okay, the other thing I'm going to do over here is put in a distributor. So once we put these in the top of this, so that's unlocked, which is great. So the drones themselves require their own little production line for that. So yeah, this is starting to get really complicated really quickly. Okay, personally, don't really have a problem with that, but yeah, if you don't keep an eye on how your factory sprawl is, you get these little sort of hacky workarounds that end up running their own sort of bit of the factory, and it ends up being something that just doesn't scale particularly well. So we'll fix that, and then we'll go start making sulfuric acid in a video game. Yeah, yeah, don't make sulfuric acid at home, squad. Just don't do it. It's kind of unsafe. These copper veins are in a little bit of an inconvenient spot. Yeah. I can probably do something about it, but there's actually not a lot of copper coming through as part of the key production line. So yeah, technically I'm not producing enough, but I don't really feel like the overall production line's really suffering for that. That the reference rate kind of assumes that all of this stuff is running just consistently, and it just isn't. So one of the things that I do need to set up is off-world titanium, there's going to be a bunch of running back and forward during this stage of the game.
Flight mode.
So I don't need to carry these little scenarios around with me. So speaking of distributors, let's go, and I want probably 600 at all times, and I'm gonna put all of my tier 1 belts back. Okay, so the real question is, do I want to do titanium first, or do I want
Insufficient materials.
or do I want to start on the sulfuric acid line? Because sulfuric acid takes a little while to build, like a little bank of it.
Insufficient materials.
This dead end production line is where I had a bunch of stone bricks stashed. So sulfuric acid, much like in real life, goes into a liquid storage container, and I'm probably going to want one for water as well. Speaking of water, I am going to need a water pump, so let's get some of that. Yeah. So now that I've got a distributor hub set up over here, it'll build up what is that? 3 stacks, so 900. Like just sort of casually, but it'll also, on the cap that I sent over here, it'll also fly these out to me until I have 600 just sitting around in my bag. So don't need the coal hanging out in there either. Okay, what to do? So now that I've got the fluid pump sitting around, let's decide where we're going to manufacture it. So I'd like somewhere that's got a decent supply of stone. So this is a decent candidate, but I also kind of want it to be nice and close to the oil refinery too. So yeah, I don't think there's anything for it. I think I just have to run a belt from one place to another. I am kind of wanting to reserve this little patch of land over here for like future oil expansion. Speaking of oil, so as we've previously covered, the this will continue to run until, like, even if this storage tank here is full. So longer term, I might want to build in a secondary storage tank if that's starting to exceed supply, but I don't think we're quite there yet. So once that fills up, just everything's going to end up flowing that way, and that's nearly full. So let's get that started sooner rather than later, I think. So you end up needing quite a lot of sulfuric acid in at the start of the game, and because magnetic particle traps require these like energized carbon sorts of things, I'm not really looking to touch that because it'll... Okay, that's getting bogged down a little bit. So yeah, all things considered, what I'll end up doing is probably, just thinking out loud here, so longer term, probably running the runoff from this whole X-ray cracking sort of scenario, and that's just been sitting around kind of useless as well. Love it. God, what's bottlenecking that? Okay. It's got nowhere to drain to. Cool. think I was having a little bit of a think about whether I put a like power station here, but I think what we do is we just put a storage tank here and just move on with our lives. Oh no, that's not what I wanted to do. That's out of the wrong section of the system. Let's go reclaim that as well. Yeah. So I don't think I've broken it just yet. Cool. Oh, gee, that was almost a little bit awkward. So just so that we don't get output mismatch there. It won't actually do anything. It'll just kind of shut me off. Okay, let's get cooking.
Flight mode.
So, so to make sulfuric acid, we need chemical facilities, and I've got the ability to make a couple of those, just sort of sitting around in my bag. So let's get. I need a stone reserve. Do I put it here, here, or here?
Replication.
Here's a lot closer to the. So I think we start getting like equatorial issues the further south we go. So I wonder. Oh, that'll take for ages. That'll take forever. I don't love it, but I think we might end up putting it sort of. Maybe up here? This isn't the right blueprint, I just wanted to see where the meridian lines are. So, with that in mind, it's going to take a bunch of power poles, but yeah, it's really worth getting out ahead of
insufficient materials.
Power line issues.
Flight mode.
Okay. Okay, so now that that's said, let's have 10 of these and yeah, make up the rest. Oh, cool, it does stretch that far.
Replication complete.
Okay, so let's talk chemical manufacturing. So, as previously covered, it takes 3 ingredients: refined oil, water, and stone. Later on in the game, you can find naturally occurring sources of sulfuric acid, but that's well and truly down the line. So, let's get a water pump sort of happening. Yeah, so fortunately you don't end up using up the oceans for this, and don't have to worry about desalination or anything of that nature. So yeah, let's give this a hot second to start ramping up. And yeah, you go from not enough water to way too much water surprisingly quickly. And let's run our belt over just sort of in the right general direction. I don't need to put a lot of work into building a ton of like byproduct graphite at the moment, because the planet that I'm orbiting, or the gas giant that I'm orbiting, is it in view currently? No, it is not. Oh yeah, it is. There you go. Hello, guy. Has a source of something called fire ice. So fire ice gets it's a rare materials, in my experience, not that rare, that gets manufactured into graphite, sorry, graphene, slight difference, via like a much more efficient process, because this sort of has two sub processes associated with the production thereof, and it's it's really inefficient. And hydrogen's a thing that you use just in huge amounts the entire way through. So chemical plant. Now, do I have a blueprint for this? I had to have. Oh, did I? Yeah. Oh. No, well, I tried. Okay, so... okay, so I think we said over here. So, yeah, hopefully we won't start running afoul of meridian lines, because it's between here and here. Yeah, so snaking it sort of up and back will give me the ability to scale that out a lot more effectively. So let's put a foundation pole probably somewhere over here, and that should start making it so that I can just feed things in pretty easily. So considering that that's the case, I think I'll probably go like... Okay, so I'm bringing refined oil over from over here. So yeah, I'm probably going to go down and then back and back up, because I've got all of this spare land over here, which basically means I'll go over this side, making graphene, no, sulfuric acid. Getting a little bit ahead of ourselves there. Okay, so one of the reasons why I've done it that way is so that the belt is physically closer to the chemical plant there, because as you might be seeing from the ratios involved, it uses a lot more stone than what it does water or refined oil. So making it a little bit easier on the inserters in that fashion will go a long way, I think. Okay, this is going to be a little bit of a mess, I think. Okay, so that's filled up, so all of this is stopped. Cool. Yeah, so yeah, considering that, I'll probably end up using this, because it's not actually going anywhere, as a the outlet for that will be in the graphene. I might end up running into scaling problems, but I'll deal with that with that little problem once I come to it. So yeah, just yeah, might be really kicking myself in the face a little bit later for this, but so yeah, I'll leave a couple of squares there for later if I decide that I need to scale it up slightly and add another outlet pipe. So we'll go like that, and then subsequently go like this. Okay, let's get it happening. all of the, okay, I might have to load balance this slightly. So I've got, three inlets, and then, okay, so, right, if I reverse path on this, then that'll start load balancing in that direction as well. Now, on the other hand, it also means that the entire thing's going to fill up a lot quicker,
Flight mode.
which, you know, yeah, could start running into problems, but, okay, so now we need an outlet bus. Let's go like that. And I'll put in an
Insufficient
additional
materials.
storage tank there. Of course I don't have the materials. Let's grab a stack of iron from over here. Yeah, that whole small scale assembly sort of scenario that's happening over there, like it will eventually have to come out. So
Insufficient materials.
yeah, I'm not putting a lot of effort into, hey, why any of this right now? Okay. So, yep. Now that that's all happening, cool. Does that need another inlet or something? Yeah, I think it does. I could also just casually assemble a tier 2 inserter over there. Okay. Yeah, because it's yeah, running out of crude oil, refined oil before it's running out of anything else. So yeah, everything else seems to be going fine. Right, so I'll just let that fill up with acid, and yeah, we can go on our merry way. So in terms of manufacturing graphene, it takes 1 sulfuric acid and 3 energized carbon for 2 units of graphene. And it's 3-second production time as well. So, so this makes 10 a minute. So to keep this, so that's 1 every 6 seconds. So to keep this properly supplied, we have to sort of duplicate this. I might have gotten a little bit ahead of myself putting that fluid tank down there, but we can rebalance it a little bit later when that becomes necessary. So it's effectively a 2-to-1 ratio of sulfuric acid to graphene, but it also does output 2 units for that. So it's effectively 1 unit per 1.5 seconds. Okay, so from there, we're looking at magnetic particle traps, I think we said. So the other question is whether I do accumulators, because that's going to be kind of key to keeping the off-world factory running at some kind of a manageable speed. Integrated logistics requires yellow science. So let's take a look at yellow science, which is the structure matrix. Okay, so structure matrices require diamonds and titanium crystals. Titanium crystals require organic crystals and titanium. Organic crystals require plastics, refined oil, and water. So yeah, that's yet another reason why I'm getting water accumulation happening sooner rather than later. We will end up using it really quite heavily. So yeah, that's its own whole production line, which I'm gonna have to figure out where I'm gonna do that. It might end up being faster to get all of my graphite together and then sorry, graphene. I'm gonna do that forever. All of my graphene together and have that feed into a planetary logistics station and then taken over to a different part of the planet where I end up putting all of my science production sort of stuff. So sort of having it as a secondary production location. Because yeah, it is a very convoluted supply line. And yeah, it gets real messy really quickly. But in the interim, we're not actually researching anything. So I don't think that's super high on the priorities list. This, on the other hand, it's done in a couple of minutes there. We are getting towards solar sail sort of technology as well, which is one of the foundational technologies that's used in Dyson Sphere production. You know that game we're playing? Yeah, high-speed assemblers or tier 2 assemblers, while you can unlock them nice and quick, requires that graphene supply line, and to be honest, that's not where the bottlenecks are. The bottlenecks at the moment are mostly around let's see, where's my window here? Yeah, are mostly around belt speed and production output. So because I've got all of this whole smelting sort of scenario happening sort of over there over the horizon, that will eventually all end up leading into a planetary distributor, which will in turn start feeding into the other parts of the factory that are manufacturing magnetic coils and circuit boards and things of that nature. Okay, cool. So I've got plenty on tap there. I think probably, yeah, oh yeah, a lot of these. So yeah. I don't think it's really worth adding extra matrix labs at this stage, but might go back on that at some point fairly soon. My other question is whether one turret over here will be sufficient to keep the dark fog in check. So I am wondering whether I want to get prototype drones happening, but one of the issues with that is that they do have a 4-step production line, which my experience is that the easiest way to do that is with drone logistics, and that requires me to start scaling that up pretty quick, so you end up being gated by power instead. So yeah, there's a lot of but first that goes on here, which it's part of the fun, or so they tell me. But, cool, so we'll get magnetic particle trap next. Let's see what's happened to that power and whether that's actually helped. Yeah, excellent, love to see it. I had a thought a couple of minutes ago, oh, yeah, I wonder, was I kind of just kidding myself, I guess you'd say, that the research finished up, which means that all of the matrix labs switched off, and that's what pushed that back into 100% sufficiency. But no, it seems to have had the desired effect, so okay. That'll at least make this entire ordeal a little bit more manageable. So, to get titanium production up and running on the off-world planet, we're gonna need a bunch of arc smelters. So again, just pocket crafting these for the time being. It's yeah, the moment you go, oh yeah, I'll add a module for that. That's when your factory starts getting bogged down in that your logistics drones end up taking up a lot of your factory's excess power. So it just you know, it ends up just as slow as a wet week. It's kind of frustrating. So to that end, so we've got a bunch of iron still in here, so I'll just grab a stack of bricks, as is the tradition. Actually, let's grab a literal stack of bricks. Taking sorters and things of that nature. So I'll pocket craft, yeah, about 12 of that. Works for me. Yeah, you need both titanium and silicon in just surprising quantities. I'm still not 100% sure I've got the interstellar logistics side of things operating efficiently, because yeah, I usually get a little bit distracted. Okay, so that's the silicon input there, and it is empty. With that said though, and you know, these have sort of run out of processes. Please tell me I set a production cap on that. Yeah. So yeah, all of that is all capped out. So now I've got 18 of the little suckers. That's nice. So is there anything that really needs a helping hand with this? Producing enough of these. Yeah, seems to be ticking along fairly okay.
Replication complete.
Ah, now I've got plenty of them. That's nice. So let's just chuck a whole bunch of those in there. Yeah. I'm gonna look how to use like flow meter sort of stuff. I think it'll really help in a lot of different respects. So next step is actually going and setting up the factory over there. I would really just dearly love to have like energy storage already researched by then, but I would still need to have a steady supply of silicon crystals, and yeah, while I can certainly do that, yeah, I don't typically come back that often. Yeah, I'll chuck it in the queue next, and look at setting up accumulators during, not this run that I'm going to do over there, but the following one. The higher I crank the power consumption in that factory as well, the faster the dark fog will start messing with all manner of things, which in turn sort of hits the gas pedal on you having to put significant investment in defense infrastructure. Ideally, you want to destroy the planetary relay sooner rather than later, but you kind of need is it corvettes to do that? Yep. Yeah, that's the fastest way to do it, and you know, those require purple science because none of your drones can operate in space other than those, and the moment you start destroying planetary relays, you start getting the attention of the space dark fog hive, which is just sort of casually hanging out over there, and yeah, that typically requires you to have a bit of investment in planetary shields. So yeah, not a can of worms that I'm really actively
Use
looking
ended.
to um, open up right now. Okay, so I'm somewhere up here. Right.
Flight mode.
This is kind of nice. Okay, I am going in the right direction, aren't I? Okay. Okay, as foretold. So let's set up the titanium plant just here, I think.
Insufficient
Did I?
materials.
Yeah, I did. Classic. Okay, so I think there's iron here on the planet. Yeah, cool. It's just over here.
Flight mode.
So I just need the couple of them, so... Yeah, it's a pretty nice way to make the entire scenario a bit more complicated. Now, do I want to expand the power infrastructure while I'm up here?
Replication complete.
I probably will want to by the time I'm leaving, so... Yeah. The other issue with not having accumulators here is that I can't run the defense infrastructure without an active source of power, which means supplying everything while the sun's down. So cool, that works. I probably put a power tower up here and a mass smelter somewhere over here. Ah, isn't it great when it just works?
Insufficient
Can't
materials.
wait to not have enough of that as well.
Flight mode.
Yeah, in any case, there's not a lot more we can do until the sun comes up, so... God, I just went there.
Flight mode.
Yeah, in before I accidentally walked face first into the enemy base. That would be embarrassing. Yep, never done that before. Just, yeah, wasn't paying too much attention and, yeah, just is what it sounds like. Not my finest hour. Okay, so considering... right, so I don't... Do I have... Yeah, I do have enough. So let's pocket craft, say, 6 more of these. And I'll start replicating these a little bit further over so that there's just more uptime on it. Okay, because yeah, this is
Replication
doing
complete.
just fine now, but so the other thing is, so okay, so building away from the enemy base.
Flight mode.
This will sort of stump up the general um, power redundancy as well in the event that I do have to sort of just cut and run not here for a like planetary road or something like that. It's not that you know, anything particularly important would get destroyed. It's not like we're doing liquid manufacturing over here, but you know, it's a little bit frustrating having to come back and duplicate your work because it you know, because everything just got destroyed, and especially I'm probably going to want to set a recipe for that as well. Right. Okay. So some storage happening. No, not one of those. I want one of these. Oh, okay, third time's the charm. Let's go.
Flight mode.
Yeah, probably goes without saying as well, but I would not be using energized graphite for
Flight
a
mode.
power supply if I wasn't getting it for free as a
Replication complete.
byproduct of my oil refining process. It ends up not being power positive, yeah, net energy positive by the time you're done. So yeah, if you're manufacturing it out of coal because you were going, oh right, yeah, it's is like it has a higher megajoules rating than other power sources, so it burns for longer. That's kind of true, but it isn't the whole story. So okay, so just hang out until this produces however much it's going to produce for the day. Yeah, so yeah, there's a very clear sort of step down that's happening. We done? Yeah, we're done. Cool.
Research complete.
Hey. Well, would you look who it is? The the description for that is very funny as well. It's like I probably should have kept it on the screen a little bit longer if I'm honest, but it's great news. You've unlocked a magnetic particle trap,
Flight mode.
which is a magnetic trap for particles that makes those particles exhibit certain characteristics. Which is like, oh yeah, it's a trap for particles that does stuff. Don't worry about it. It's a component. So yeah, so now I can make accumulators. Now that that's getting said and done, I do need to set up a production line for. God, I need to not use the colloquialism that I came up for it. It's like a blue zoomy, I think was the phrase I used. So right, so yeah, now we're getting to the point where, because I need to send magnets to like a lot of different locations, it's starting to get to the point where it's getting a little bit unwieldy to have like belt networks running. It's, okay, so these little blue zoomy doodahs are a three item component, one of which is a secondary product of coal, one's just a basic component with a magnet, and then the electromagnetic turbine is sort of a tertiary level, like a tier 3 sort of component that goes into a tier 4 component. So I think when it comes to this sort of stuff, we do need to start getting logistics bots sort of happening. So I'm not looking forward to what that's going to do to my power grid, but it's going to have to be done eventually.
Cruise ended.
So now that that's said and done, right, so right, why are you guys complaining? Okay, I was misunderstanding what it was trying to tell me. Okay, sounds like me. So yeah, these are lovely, because this has effectively had the brakes put on it, because it's got 3 inputs. I don't think there's going to be any significant problems there. Further down the line, I'm going to put in a pile sorter around about here to jam it down the line a lot faster, and then I can take out some of the sorters as well. Okay. I wonder if I can make that more efficient. What's the... Okay, so that's okay. So that runs 18 kilowatts, and that's 36. Right. So, and that's 3 per grid and 1.5 per grid. So, it's so per unit, it's actually not a lot more efficient to do it that way. You know, that said, the fuel only burns at a finite rate. So, if I go like this, and like this, and then go 1, 2, 3, that sort of effectively accomplishes the same thing. I think it sort of had a bit of a moment there. I was like, no, wait, that's illegal. Yeah, that's looking a little bit better. Because that's already chewing up the exact same amount of power. So if I go like that, there's also, so you have to factor in rest versus work load as well. Oh right, my inventory's full, and that's what it's screaming about. Right, gotcha.
Research complete.
Okay, cool. Accumulators, loving it. So, work versus rest power. So, idle consumption is 9,000 watts. Work consumption is so the idle consumption is 9,000 watts, and the work consumption is 36,000 watts. So if I think that's, I'm not sure if that's per trip or per second. Be great if this was all in watt hours rather than just abbreviations like a psychopath, but you know, you play the hand you're dealt. So jam all of that in there. So it still runs the same number of cool. Okay, so this will have just sort of picked up a lot of that, like litter, I think. Wonder where those went. Guess we'll never know. Yeah, might have ended up just getting picked up and put back in my backpack. So, but who's to say? But if it's per second, then by transporting more units over the same amount of time, you're cutting the you're like increasing the energy efficiency quite significantly. So Okay,
Light
let's
mode.
see how we're going with sulfuric acid production. Just checking out, like a nice little cake or something. Okay, so that's building up pretty nice. Okay, so so that this all like scales properly. I'm getting into the point where I really do need to um, start like rather than running belts through here, as I mentioned. Um, I need to have a
Light
fair
mode.
bit more of it running on like drone logistics, and that will allow me to scale up things of this nature. So, but rather than just disrupting the entire flow of the factory all at once, um, I'll let's see. I've already scaled up the iron, etc. production, and I'm pretty happy with the way these are all working. We don't seem to be running out or anything. Um, what to do? What to do? Okay, so I've duplicated my work over there. The drone range upgrade I think will kind of help out here as well. Common control, distribution range. Of course, that requires structure matrices. Why wouldn't they? Okay, logistics carrier engine. Carrier capacity. Yeah, so yeah, sort of getting into the bot first sort of side of things, where I've got lots of competing priorities. But you know. So, but fortunately, I've certainly got the generation capacity to be able to support that. So, but yeah, in terms of what am I doing in there? So magnetic particle traps. So that requires processors, which are sort of like way the hell over there, and also yeah, particle traps. So yeah, I think that is probably the next thing I move towards. Is like it's made into accumulators. Oh, it's got things yanking me in a number of different directions. I think it's just a matter of pick a spot and start, because I'm going to need graphene fairly heavily for particle containers, but at the same time, it's also requires these, which require lots of engines. Okay, so I think that's a pretty good place to start, I think. Is let's put so it requires engines, which is a 3-item input. So yeah, there'll be some fairly significant downgrading that goes on as a result of this, but you know, because I'll be constrained a little bit by drone range, well, I'm going to sort of get that all tucked away as much as I can. That's oof. Okay. So right, so that's still Mark II sorters. Right. Let's pocket craft some. Sure. Oh, surprise, surprise!
Light
Yeah, can possibly pocket craft them, but if it isn't the consequences of my own past actions. Okay, just letting me know that I've missed a whole bunch of stuff. So, depots. Okay, so for once, it's not the bricks I'm missing.
replication complete.
Okay. So I'm probably going to need more than... yeah, I'm going to need well more than 6. Oh, this is gonna suck. But gotta be done.
Flight mode.
Okay, so 1, 2, 1. Okay. Perhaps didn't need to downgrade that badly. So, power poles. Steal some of those. Yeah. So yeah, this is around about the point where I'm thinking, maybe I really should get automation for like basic stuff like Tesla towers. So I think I've got something running close enough to the main bus that I can just sort of split some off, but oh, that is kind of wasteful. I could extend that a little bit further down. Is that copper? Yeah, it is. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. Okay, again, low volume item, cost of doing business. And then I'll have it exporting to a depot so that they can get flown out to me. Sounds like a cool idea. So can I put this over here? Yeah, I can. Do I do it? Yeah, I do. Of course it is. Enough room for a depot there. Yeah. Never punished. Okay. Things. Tesla towers. I definitely only want one stack for that. Have been going for about an hour as well, so we'll take a quick bio break pretty soon. Okay, so go. So outputting power poles. So so a lot of the just put that as I want 50 at all times. Yeah, let me just pull up production tab to just demonstrate what I mean by this. Yeah, so logistics distributors have just very suddenly jumped to being 5% of the overall load of the factory, and I've only just put a couple of them in there. Now, in part, that is because they are still charging up, but it's when you get this starting to happen at scale, then you know, it's fractions for each one, but fractions add up. So yeah, it's yet another problem that I've got in my lap. Just have a whole bunch of them. It's convenient, but at what cost? So okay, so we're running engines, sorry, motors out of here, right? And okay, so I'm going to do something real hacky here, and just run a oh, future me is going to think that my current self is an idiot. Oh, it's not even in a convenient spot. Good lord. Yeah, I wonder if it's faster just to thieve a smelter off here, run it straight into an assembler immediately after and make gears out of it. That's not gonna cut it. I can just tell that's not gonna cut it. Because it will be faster, but it is a thing that my future self will absolutely kick me for. Because yeah, it's these are items where you go through them in such large quantities that if you don't sort of start out as you mean to continue, then you're just in for a world of problems. Yeah, and like as it is, that's gonna be a thing that suffers from like expansion problems unless I start putting in foundations around here, which, like, you know, fine, but yeah, if you use that like on scale, you will start like just using up huge amounts of like iron and stone for kind of no reason other than that you're planning badly. And you know, it's not like I'm running short of any of that sort of stuff, but you know, again, fractions add up. So let's go gears, and so it's iron and mag rings. And what? Spotify, what are you doing? Okay. It's kind of trolling me by playing Christmas music, I think. So, good and decent person who has done nothing to deserve this. She said, like a liar. Okay, so I'll redirect this so that it... Come on! Okay, so I was going to run it on that belt there. Okay, so that can then come out, which I love that. Do. Start zooming along. It's also one of the benefits of having a bus is that you don't have to start messing around with like depots and things like that to create like buffer zones. Okay, so right, so we've got that sorted. So I think for this, I'll put in a
Insufficient materials.
a logistics depot for this. Making sure that I don't accidentally starve the steel production line of something at some point in the future. So, and if I put power pole down first and then put the logistics on top of that, it'll inherit the properties there. So, and then distribute. And problem solved. Now I gear up to be a little bit embarrassed as where I'm trying to bring cogs from might somehow end up being out of range of the distributor. So again, very hacky workarounds. You shouldn't do this. Nobody should. Probably only need about 5 stacks worth. So yeah, just with that, it's sort of now competing with all of these smelters for how much power the factory is drawing. So you know, when just getting things from point A to point B is taking up you know, 1/10 of the total power that's going through your factory, that's usually a pretty bad sign. But and yeah, you can sort of like you can hack it a little bit. Okay, so did that actually work? Yep, it did. Cool. So yeah, so because of that, that's all kind of ticking along just nicely. So I can then set to distribute.
Flight mode.
Is that what's bogging this down as well? That's the only place it's going. Okay, so now I can rip that out. After these are done going through, and go like that. Beautiful. Yeah. God. Yeah, sometimes the way that does things of this nature just absolutely annoys me to tears, but cool. Quests, electric motors. Okay. Okay. It's starting to look a lot healthier. Beautiful. Okay, so now that's done, going to put a logistics hub on top of here and set to distribute, and then really crank up the backfilling on there. And is this operating at maximum efficiency? No, not really. So, okay, so I am definitely going to want to automate this. So, the way I'm going to do that is with a 2-item assembler distributor, which will mean that I'm... Okay, so we're sort of getting to the point where I'm going to pull apart my main bus. I think it's starting to get a little bit unwieldy over here, and I think I can probably just do a little bit better than what I have. So I've, you know, I've got like duplicated iron infrastructure, which means that if the only thing that's really being done out of that is like gears and belts here that I can then start just sort of moving all of this stuff around. So that's going to be the agenda for after the break. So go cycle your fluids, folks. Go stretch your legs and say hello to the cat. Hit the bathroom, have a drink, all that good stuff. And I'll see you in a hot second, probably in 10 minutes or so. Lovely. See you then. Hey folks, welcome back. So, if you're just tuning in, we've just shored up part of our production line over here and getting a bit set up to start manufacturing things en masse. But before we go much further, reiterating in case you weren't here earlier, this stream is made possible just by viewers just like you. I'm not a fan of ads, and you probably aren't either, so I'll get right to it. Later this year I'm having surgery and would like to remain living in the manner that I have become accustomed, indoors and eating regularly. If you're enjoying what you're watching and want to help support that, the link to donate is in the description of the video. That's a little bit broken right now, but it's a work in progress. The link to donate is in the description of the video. Terms and conditions apply. In the future I'll be setting up a Patreon or something with bonus content, and anything that you contribute will go towards making sure that the only ad you hear on the stream is this one. So, now that that's all said and done, let's get back to building some factory. So now that these are idle, I had a little bit of a think over the break, and I probably want to get more tier 2 sorters happening here, and yeah, tier 2 sorters require the electric motors that I've just been manufacturing a whole bunch of. So right, so that's yeah, kind of suffering for the low throughput of gears happening here, which is another just another reason why you really should, wherever possible, just manufacture on belts. So, yeah, it's currently thieving a whole bunch of that sort of stuff out. So, just nick some of those for starters, and then go pocket craft some. Ugh. One too many. So, so we're about this close to planetary logistics, and one of the first things I'm going to be doing is scaling up the power a little bit. So this is, you know, not a like long-term solution, shall we say. Yeah, planetary logistics takes up just a ton of power, and especially if you don't manage it properly. Okay. Particularly if you don't manage it properly, then you start running into some problems. So yeah, now the oh no, that's not a pause sort of scenario. Okay, so the planetary base has leveled up since last we spoke. So the attacks are going to start getting fairly thick and fast. And yeah, sure, there's like there's construction drones sort of on site there, but so the other thing is they start dropping materials. You can do something that's a little bit cheeky by outputting any copper that gets picked up from that into an assembler that then spits bullets back out into like turrets. But so I think I put 20 in there earlier, but yeah, there's room for improvement there. So what are we moving towards next? So so yeah, definitely need to pick that up. Right, so planetary logistics. So logistics drones require thrusters, but so thrusters require steel and copper. Okay, so that's not too bad. But yeah, because otherwise you start sort of getting just anyway, belts running everywhere, and it's not a fun time for anyone. You're better off having sort of like big production hubs that specialize in like one or two things with a huge number of drones running between them, that then feed out into belts into whatever it is that you're looking to make. So you know, thrusters I don't think are amongst them just yet, but they do tend to go into once you get a little bit further down on the tech tree. I think they end up getting used in things like like your vertical launching sites and things of that nature. I think so. There's further down. There's also. Let's see. Yep. Now I'm lost. It's a big tech tree. So reinforced thrusters. I wonder if they use. Yeah. So they use a titanium alloy for that, and they're used in interstellar logistics. So my next question is, right, so yeah, I do need yellow science at some point to start managing that. Yeah, it's yeah, when you start getting into like drone technology, that's when you kind of need like to start getting into high-speed assembling. This bad boy here, which yeah, requires the like little prism sort of scenarios as input materials to that. So again, it's all about scale. And yeah, if I you know, rather than having like logistic spots running absolutely everywhere, just turning into this massive traffic jam over your planet, sucking down huge amounts of power, duplicating work. If you can run a relatively small number of planetary logistics with belts running off it, that cuts the power fairly significantly. So yeah, again, so yeah, that requires that, and yeah. So where are we going with this? So yeah. So yeah, when you start getting into things like plastic production, suddenly your output of refined oil starts getting really important. So I'll pick that up while we're here. So yeah, otherwise you get like idling power consumption starts being a little bit wasteful. I might pick up deuterium fractionation at the same time, even though we're well and truly away from that, because again requires yellow science for like your like high strength alloys. So anything else I can pick up from here? Do we get another point in energy shield maybe? Yeah, it's a nice quick one to knock off. But yeah, yeah, a lot of the stuff that I'm sort of getting towards requires the yellow science supply line. Which, yeah, we've got a few steps to get through before then. Now, how are we going in terms of... okay, so we are kind of starting to run out here. But so, save a bit of power. Yeah, you do have to be a little bit careful when you're when you've got like fairly long bus belts that you keep your like belt throughput speed as high as you can, because otherwise you start getting like speed bottlenecks happening, which is not ideal. Hang on. Does that not have anywhere to output to? Am I messing up right now? It wouldn't be keeping on that. I can't have been... Where are you going? Oh, cool. It's over the other side. Oh, we're starting to run a little bit dry on hydrogen, are we? Okay. There's your problem. Okay, so that's all jammed up right now. I cannot be bothered. Okay, so yeah, decent amount of sulfuric acid building up here. Cool. Okay, let's have a bit of a think about where we're going with this next. So I think I want to shore up off-world currently. So to do that, I'm going to need accumulators. Accumulators require crystal silicon. I still have some in here, but I do need to put down a
Insufficient materials.
smelter to get all of that happening.
Replication complete.
Try to put it down somewhere that I won't lose it. Let's make some silicon crystals. No, not like that. Hmm? Ah, right, like that. So yeah, not a it's not a high volume resource, so it's not worth, in my view, having a separate production line just for that. And over the short term, I think I'm gonna end up picking up. Actually, let's DQ all of that. So yeah, I think I'm gonna end up just pocket crafting some of these over the shorter term. Yeah, predictably, I don't have what I need in inventory at all. So let's fix that. Okay, so got plenty of like duplication happening here, and you know, this isn't running at all, and it's chewing up 12 kilowatt hours. And sure, that's a relatively small amount, but it's still an efficiency that I can find. Yeah, it like, this is the sort of thing that I would typically bust out a notebook or something for, because it's yeah, fairly yeah, it gets fairly convoluted fairly quickly. So, do I have a blue mag ring plant? I don't think I do. Blue zoomy. Yep, no, not there. So it's a 3-item sort of composite sort of scenario. So I think I've got. So I think my magnet plant is somewhere around here. Yeah, it is. Me being the forward-thinking, enterprising individual that I am, I have put a logistics thing right here. It's not a long-term solution, but distribute. Of course it needs power. Yeah, probably like 15. Mostly hedging against my future self. It's bold of me to assume that any of this is going to last over the long term, but you know, set out with the best intentions. Okay, wonder what this is being primarily gated by. It's still being produced faster. Okay, so that's not a bottleneck there.
Flight mode.
It'll probably be the gear production, I think. So I've got a teeny tiny bit of space over here. Might put down a single input. Oh, who thought that up? Yeah, absolutely not me. No, couldn't have been. Yeah, that's a bit more like it. Okay, yeah, it moves in that direction. What? Must have had a use for it at some point, but can't for the life of me think what. Okay. Yeah, that'll work, I guess. Yeah, because I think in terms of the number of gears being produced, yeah, it's well below the reference, right? So that needs fixing. Need to re-upgrade all the belts and sorters, but okay, I think that one can come out.
Research complete.
Don't tell me I've disassembled the wrong part. Yeah, I bet you I have. Yeah. Okay, Ken has. Come on. Cool. Okay, wonder if I can thread that. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, so I'll probably shift logistics manufacturing somewhere over here as well. Just to try to keep everything pretty well contained. Oh, probably gonna want some inserters here as well. but yeah, broadly speaking, I've got enough, like, of all of this currently that I can just take it apart. And same with the sorters as well. I'm going to relocate those. Neck all of the assemblers out of there as well. Nope, not like that. Like that. And yeah, cool. So, alright. Now that entire section can go. Okay, so that's snaking over here for that. Which is basically just for drone logistics sort of purposes. So yeah, I'm now pretty confident that just all of this can go. So leave all of that on the bus while that all happens. Might actually just put in a temporary solution here as well. So put in, for as much as I go through a lot of iron, I don't need like 600 of it sitting in my inventory. Okay, thing that has never been used except as a bit of a like walking shortcut for me. Cool. Yeah, look at all the space we've got over here for activities. So many activities. Okay, that I think can stay there for a bit. How much level 1 transport belts did I get at? Okay, so just so that I don't accidentally screw myself over as I am known to do. Put one of these back in here and cool, don't need a logistics thing on top of it, so I'm trying to move away from level 1 transport belts anyway. So plenty of plasma exciters there. So the next question is, what do we want to use this space for? So now that that's no, that can stay there for the time being. Sure, it's taking up a little bit of power, but yeah. In broad terms, I'm actually pretty fine with it being there. Okay, so we've finished scaling that up a little bit. Let's keep an eye on the power. We're going particle containers, right? So that's the entire reason why we did all of that. It's not going anywhere currently because why would it? So now that that's done, copper, turbines, and graphite. So the copper and turbines sorted, but I don't think we've got any graphite in. Yeah, seems about right. So this will actually start flowing again once we get all of this sort of stuff up and running. But first, chemical plants.
Flight mode.
Okay, Okay, stones over here. A stack of glass. Get some Walter White stuff happening over here, so let's produce the max of that. This can only go well. Yeah, just got a casual 3000 sulfuric acid sitting over here. Right, so now that that's done, so we need a supply of copper, which I think don't have any of nearby.
Replication complete.
But also don't really have the space to build over here, so I have to run a big, ugly, long belt. Okay, so it won't actually end up being that long, all things considered. Can effectively just split that off of the semiconductor circuit over there. Yeah, let's get that happening. The crooked belt, it mocks me. Okay, and so that I don't clog up future sulfuric acid production, I'm just gonna come around this way. Look at him go. I cannot tell you the number of times that I have personally wanted a jetpack. Where is my jetpack? It's year of our Lord 2025. It's kind of unreasonable that I don't have one just yet. So sulfuric acid gets used in graphene production. So graphene also uses for particle containers. So first things first. Do I also need it a bit further down? No. Cool. Now, jury's still out as to whether I want to make particle containers here or over closer to...
Flight mode.
I don't know, maybe that's what I use this sort of bit for. But like in any case, you don't use them for a lot at this point. I wonder if you use them for things further on in... You don't use them for that. You do use them for that. So, yeah, okay, so you use them for a lot of different, like, later logistics purposes. So, it's worth having like a small production line for, I think. So, I'm gonna maybe go back on the original thing that I said and just sort of rip this out. Right. So yeah, instead I might just build a little one over here. That'll put it within distributor bot range for pretty much everything else. Cool, I'm happy with that. So production tab. Wonder if I've got a chemical plant blueprint. I think I went looking for it earlier, and yeah, must have just not imported it from my other computer properly. Okay, so cool. So that's moving in that direction. I am gonna put a on there just as a just in case anything else needs actually, do I just no, I'm happy to do it that way. And now that we're doing it that way, I think I just put a distributor. It's a little bit of a hop, but something tells me that considering the short distance and how I'm going to be getting into more advanced drone logistics sort of stuff pretty soon, I don't think efficiency of transport time's really going to tip the scales one way or another. And by the time I'm looking to scale this up to be a more like a high volume product, then I'll probably be sourcing it from somewhere else like Fire Ice, and you know there is a source of that really close by. So yeah, again, statements that could age really poorly, but you know. Now we request graphite. Yeah. So yeah, this is why you shouldn't use it for like literally everything, as if you needed me to harp on that even more. It's using up 15% of the factory's total power. It's just absolutely obnoxious. Now that that's all said and done, where are we putting the rest? So, I think it makes sense to put the output belt on this side, just because it lets me snake it back, the entire thing back around if I want to add a second or third layer. It seemed to make a bit of sense. I know I'm not well known for that, but sometimes I have my moments. Yeah, oh god, yeah. Choke holding that entire thing. So yeah, for the time being, I'll just put in a depot to go catch the contents. I don't need all of it. Calm down. Yeah. Yeah, obviously that's like peak power, but oof. I mean, I could always just run a graphite bus as well.
Flight mode.
But you know, when I run a graphite bus like all the way over here, yeah, probably not if I'm being entirely honest. Right, why are you slowing down? Oh no, I've got no power. Yeah, so that's the that's a thing I mentioned last What? Okay, so that's around about the point I started plugging everything in. Right, and yeah, then just very suddenly the efficiency started to drop. So let's see, will it recover once all of these distributors are finished charging? I bet you they won't. Yeah, so yeah, yeah, the sooner I get into like properly scaling properly scaling my hydrogen production, the better. So, question is that something I want to do now? So, where's that outputting to? So that's outputting to the main tank. It's sort of directly being used for red science production. I'll cap that around 5. Yeah, if I switch on research right now, I'll just stall the factory. So, and yeah, this is not the sort of thing that will end up being solved by just adding more power plants, because that will increase the overhead. So what I might do is just refactor some of this to have more direct connections to the belt. So go like that. Yeah, because if it drops heavily enough, then you end up in this situation where you effectively have to jumpstart your own factory by cutting off part of the network down to a more manageable grid load, and then just taking it from there, I guess. Jamming fuel directly in to overcome the sorter inertia. Okay, that's marginally better. So yeah, I can re-expand these a little bit later if that's warranted. What are you colliding with? Okay, only just not enough. Okay, this is starting to look a little bit dire if I'm being honest. Okay, I did bring over a couple of solar cells from off-world, so I might just chuck them down as a like temporary measure. Yeah, sort of yeah, it's I wouldn't say it's a criticism I've got about the game. It's a legitimate mechanic, but it's it really does start significantly messing with your factory if you sort of let it hit this point, and it goes from just like 0 to like not a problem at all to a fairly significant problem over the course of like a couple of minutes. So I wonder if I I have to be really quick about this. It's like playing in traffic. Come on guys, I know you can do it. Alright. Sure, that should load balance a little bit better between the belts. So, fingers crossed that solves the majority of the problem. Yep, cool. yeah, that's kind of chewing down the coal at the moment, so not the longest term solution. Okay, so
Flight mode.
crisis averted narrowly. Yeah, and this will just keep producing until. Yeah, it's actually a remarkably quick production line, to be honest. So don't need a full box of that just for now. Okay, what are we doing with it? 'Cause it's kind of just taking up power and not really doing a lot until like all gets sorted. So. Oh, and then I unclogged everything here, and it caused a spike in power generation, power requirements. There we go. Yeah, it's been sort of artificially strangled a bit. Okay, how are we going over here? So that's got a nice solid source to it at the moment. Yep, cool.
Flight mode.
Oh. Yeah, so I'll lose a couple of megawatt hours while the sun's down, but I don't think that's gonna like be a catastrophic failure. Okay, magnetic particle containers. So it's made in an assembler. That's a pretty good start. So have that routed over there. So so that's already got a decent distributor associated with it. So I've run the rest on a these. Again, don't need to scale just yet. Or do I just run a filthy big belt? No. Actually, I do have a blueprint for this. So, it's a 3 item. Downgrades go right.
Flight mode.
Right, there's my monument to failure over here. Okay, cool. So
Replication complete.
yeah, so I'll go downgrade, upgrade. I think that's probably a little bit faster. So I can yank that out pretty safely. This will end up being particle traps sort of thing. Okay, so graphene goes in here. Cool, I've already got that sort of started. This is one of the benefits of having like your own blueprints set up, because you've already preset the like general conditions around them. So we're making particle containers. Okay, these guys seem to have not got the message. Oh, Nice long production queue there. But at least half of them should still work by pure proxy of that. Um, hmm? Okay, so we've got literally some happening right now. Come on, buddy. No, you can do it. Come on. I believe. Hmm. Cool. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm just going to keep an eye on the time because I do have to go do something before the shop's shut. So, okay, so what did we say for over here? It was accumulators. Accumulators are something that you do end up producing in fairly large quantities. The way they work on a larger scale is that you put them into a accumulator charger, and that works on a production line, and then they get charged in output. So you can then it's like a battery, right? That you're then shipping batteries across the solar system from places that don't have a lot of like native power generation to places or places that do to places that don't. So so with that in mind, are considered buildings. So let's grab all of those bad boys out. So I can pocket craft 3 of them, but I don't think I have the blue rings in reserve. So I think it'll try to use a convoluted path to do that. So if I can short circuit the entire process by just grabbing some wherever they happen to be, if they're being made at all. Yeah, I'm getting a little bit tired, so right, pocket crafting it is. Gotcha. So while that all happens, wonder how we're going for silicon. Cool. I will have to make a trip at some point pretty soon, I think. With that said, there's no reason I can't just sort of dump all of that in there. And then, because we're going to end up making hydrogen fuel cells, which is just a more energy efficient way of doing power production in the mid game. I'm just going to put some titanium in here, and then so that I don't lose it, because it has happened before and it will happen again, where I've just put a depot down somewhere and then forgotten subsequently what I did with it. And if you don't have a logistics distributor associated with it, so I can then find that and then set it to just sort of distribute to me, versus then if you can't find it and it doesn't have a distributor, you just kind of SOL. Okay, so you guys are carrying on again because the assemblers have started thieving a bunch of stuff, and now because the logistics bots are running pretty much constantly, then it's starting to cause issues there. So actually, now that we're walking the talk, yeah, speaking of, so I can pocket craft a logistics station. That's not an issue at all, which would also have the advantage of being able to efficiently scale up. But I'd also have to have a thruster production line, which I think I've already talked about. Logistics drones, there's 50 to a station, so I'm not pocket crafting 100 thrusters. Could do though. Yeah, they're 4 seconds each, so I'm not spending, um, hideous amounts of time on that. That said, I would be broadly pretty happy to pocket craft a few of them. Not everything needs its own production straight off the bat. So let's grab some steel and let's get started. Yeah, that's starting to get kind of dire, so I don't really have a choice but to scale up my current power infrastructure. Okay, so processors. Bunch of them off the production line. I have to be a little bit careful here because the more I start messing around with, so I freed up some of the production space here, and that's started new production here, just taking the components from here, and it's taking the components from here, and it's starting to like make these guys work a little bit more again. So yeah, we're kind of on a little bit of a knife edge here in terms of the power infrastructure. So now that that's out of the way, it's a planetary logistics station. Of course I'm going to need 2 of these as well, because presumably you're going to want things to go from one place to another. So it needs processors as well. Oof. It's not a small number either, it's like 80. So fortunately the inventory system is like smart enough to know that, because I've built these, then these are already spoken for. So let's build 2 of those. They take 20 seconds each in the replicator as well. So while that's all happening, I'm gonna start scoping out how I'm actually going to do this. So we've got a whole stack of coal. So actually, let's zoom out for a second. Coal there, coal there, coal there. There's like a lot of coal here. There's like 9 million units. So I can put coal, coal, coal. So you can have 4 running off of each patch typically. So that's 12, and there's 12 in a logistics distributor. So I think the first one should probably sit somewhere around here. Okay, is that all stalled now? Yeah. Okay. Playing with fire has gotten me burnt. Love it. So to jumpstart it, I'm gonna go like that. Rip me. Yeah. Cool. So right. So we're getting a bit of a masterclass here as to how to jumpstart a factory. So jump to power view just here, and start cutting out certain parts of power supply. So that will in turn reduce the overall system load. I'm not really relying on these for anything other than like convenience. But with that said, I believe the... Okay, no it doesn't. Yeah, when you're tapping an oil well, under certain circumstances it will keep running. So so that should be fine for now while this all gets under control. So where was I? Okay. So I'm going to put the planetary logistics station here. connect it to that, and then put some drones in there. Okay, so we're transporting coal and we're supplying that. So let's
Insufficient materials. Flight mode.
so it's a little bit kneecapping, but you know, you take what you get.
Replication complete.
Okay, so I've got 3 in the inventory. s- um, 9 is 12. Right. Cool. So in general, as long as all of the patches are covered, pretty good. To get that running at full efficiency, it is going to need a foundation under there, because there's just no way I can finagle that in such a way as that it works. So, right, now let's do some belt work.
Replication complete.
Okay. So that I don't make a mess here as well. So harsh experience has taught me. Put in a bunch of this stuff first, and then figure out where it's going. Bet. These do tend to be a little bit fickle to connect. Riveting gameplay. Love a bit of riveting gameplay. So seems to be happening nice and quick. Cool. So now that that's all getting started, I'll connect up the last bits of it a bit later, because again, just keeping an eye on the time, and I will eventually have to call it quits. Okay, so in terms of where I'm going to put my power infrastructure, the great thing about doing everything here on oh, that's a different way I could do it. Yeah, look, I'm gonna have to do it that way anyway. So yeah, yeah, I think I'm gonna end up running out of I'm gonna stick by my original plan. I think I'm gonna end up running out of space here well before I start hitting saturation anyway. So, Seed, why you do this to me? So fortunately the signal tower being there will mean that these don't just make a beeline straight for here, but so in terms of where we're going to put it, probably somewhere over, yeah, probably somewhere over here. You don't have to worry about things that you would have to do in, like if you were doing power infrastructure in real life, like voltage loads through cables and load balancing, things of that nature. But you know, with that said, you do still have to figure out how you're going to like have the required amount of space. Okay, probably gonna have to nick about half of my construction drones, or my logistics drones, out of the one that I brought it from, because I've accidentally put all of them there. But
Flight mode.
so before I link all of that up and then subsequently suck all of the power out of the rest of the factory yet again, let's get all of this sorted. So I'm basically going to have it as a sort of thing where I go 1, 2, 3, and then mirror that on each side. So right. So a little bit of a quirk here is that you have to, so I'll switch this to storage mode so that I don't accidentally start the ball rolling before I'm ready for it. But so you have to go sort of like this and then set the filter. This took me ages to figure out. I was like, oh, why isn't it, like, I've only got one thing in there, why isn't it coming out? Yeah, turns out I just was not doing it right. So nice, fairly large amount of space to play with there. A lot of like Dyson Sphere programs sort of like the way that like belts work is it almost works like water pressure. That if you don't have that, the pressure gets lower the further towards the end of the belt that you get. So there's effectively a finite distance that you can make belts without starting to run into supply problems down the end of the belt. Ergo, the shorter your belts are, the more efficient what you're doing on them is. So let's start moving a couple of the undersupplied generators over, I think. Okay, now if I open this window up again, it'll immediately snatch out the drones, and then I'll have to redo that little bit of the process there. Okay, so okay, so I think I might end up making more power plants actually. So cool. Pocket craft some of these.
Replication complete.
Stone blocks. Useful. Some iron and gears. Yeah, technically it is a byproduct of iron, but this will just go a lot better. Okay, and there's not really any to spare here anyway. I'll just pinch those for starters. Okay, and now let's go. Let's make the whole enchilada. Ugh. Did it out of reflex. Just. Cool. Connect these up so that they can start charging the station. These are chasing me to give me a nice little gift. Excellent. Still got plenty of juice in the mech. Love that. Cool. Just
Replication complete.
making sure I don't wreck myself with my own footprints here. Yeah, because I'm having to I'm replicating this on each side basically. So it'll probably work best if I go like this and have a little bit of dead space maybe. That's a problem for me of the future. Interplanetary logistics and then set the other one to match those settings as well. Yeah, you can charge them up significantly more than that, but right, so then I didn't do that on that side, so let's go again from there. So let's okay, let's get it started. Just watch the demand spike as this all turns on. Okay, while that's happening, we'll start connecting up the inserters for this. Here they come. Okay, just gonna respond to chat real quick. Big welcome to chatter Khalil Joy. Do I have any preference as to what I want for dinner? No, not really, to be honest. Really, you call that a delivery? Come on now. In fairness though, it's not like I have a decent production line for that, so they're doing the best they can. So, no, I don't really have a preference as to what I want to do for dinner, but yeah.
Flight mode.
We'll take that as it comes, I think. I've got a decent amount of food in the house, and I am going to the shops in a hot second. So, okay, so at least it's not bottlenecked there. And, yeah, cool. More drones. Let's get some more drones happening. In such a way as that I'm not just bogging down my entire factory while doing so. Okay, what are we missing? What are we missing? Iron. Beautiful.
Replication complete.
So, so it's functioning okay just with like 10 bots total in the system, but it can definitely do better than that. So, okay, needs more thrusters because it needs more steel. This is why I automate this part of the process, but it'll start really heavily taxing the factory and burning through all of my silicon and things of that nature if I just let it run. So yeah, and yeah, this is why we don't pocket craft this sort of stuff, right? So so a lot of that seems to be like tied up in where my copper's going. We're starting to run dry of that. It's happening pretty quick. It said it wanted 60. Actually, considering what we're transporting, probably just put them as full loaded drones. So that at least I'm using the power efficiently. They take up a certain amount of power for like each trip. So yeah, unless you're loading them down, you're like, especially if like if the goal here is to generate power, I'm not wanting to introduce inefficiencies into the entire scenario. I'd also forgotten how slowly they move when you haven't gotten upgrades for them. But you know, but yeah, this is fun. Yeah, it's absolutely the kind of thing I want to be like fully loaded. Yeah, which is waiting. So while we're waiting, let's plan out next steps. So I'm gonna put down another couple of turrets because I think I'm gonna want to make a trip off world. I don't think that this will get to 100% super quick, but it's yeah, just something I'm looking to get out in front of. So making a delivery of silicon so that I can automate this like drone production, that's probably going to be the next step. I'll set up a 2-item assembler for thrusters, which will then feed directly into logistics drones. Yeah, because you just legitimately need like hundreds and hundreds of them. So, right, and go.
Replication complete.
So, and then where to? Okay, so yellow science is a it's a bit of a mess around to be quite honest. It's like a 5-step process. It's not my favorite, but it's still absolutely something that just needs to get done. And because it's sort of hamstring a little bit of the efficiency, then it will really benefit just the entire situation to have that like running properly. So yeah, on reflection, it's like I think like heavily expanding this is probably a thing that'll have to wait until later, or yeah, has that worked? Yeah, it has. Yeah, I was a little bit worried that I'd lose so much to the overhead that it might not be worth it, but so planetary logistics, let's see. It's still not quite as bad as the logistics distributor, but yeah, it's you know, we sort of need like 4 turbines just to run your logistics distributor. That's it's a bit of a kick in the teeth. But it's also not worth putting in huge amounts of power infrastructure before you need it, because these burn at a fixed rate. So yeah, there's still plenty of room to move up. Like I've got a full, you know, 10 to 15 megawatts before it starts really biting me. So with that said, I think we can probably restart the rest of the factory now. That's nice. And at that point, I think it'll be a pretty good place to stop. So, and 3, 2, 1, go. So that's that done, and replacing this one here. And watching the load spike just go through the ceiling. Is it happening? Yeah, the Matrix Labs being on are probably not helping that whole scenario. So yeah, so it's getting a little bit spiky, but it's actually not too bad. Yeah, must have just been a bit of a perfect storm there. Anyway, I think we're going to leave it there for today. Thank you to everyone who showed up. It's just really nice to just sort of play a little bit of Dyson Sphere program, just work through some manageable problems. It's makes a nice change. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a nice night. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time. Oh, good lord.